Some people may get pissed off because I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm not playing. And it's gonna be a crazy summer.
That was Ice Cube telling the world about his plans to expose Dwayne Johnson's true agenda with his most recent appearance in the media. What am I referring to? Listen to this.
What am I gonna do to deal with these fucking gatekeepers? Well, what I'm gonna do is go on a gatekeepers podcast tour.
Well, here's what Ice Cube has decided to do in the wake of Hollywood coming for the entire country. Although most people in the entertainment industry are usually tied to one show or movie through most of their careers, Ice Cube seems to be the exception, as he's not just known for his success in blockbuster films like Ride Along, and Xander Cage, the actor, is also known for his consistent issuance of warnings about how the biggest names in the industry all seem to be working with an agenda to have everyone under their control, while this mass control was initially targeted at the entertainers in the world. Dwayne Johnson's recent moves have just made it clear that it goes far beyond that. It seems the new agenda might involve getting the entire population under these elites. Seems a little doesn't it? Well, this definitely isn't the first time something like this is happening at. Only a couple of years ago, it was Kanye trying to fill big shoes to get the elites into the powerhouse of the country. The angle The Rock seems to be taking, however, seems to be one that hasn't been threaded by many entertainers, which seems to be why it triggered Cube enough to feel the need to warn people about it. You take one look at Dwayne Johnson, you see a real upstanding guy. In fact, to some, he's the last person you'd think to be worried about in the industry, especially when there are several other celebrities just as successful as him that have been caught up in the worst scandals. Johnson, however, has managed to evade virtually every scandal you'd expect of someone who made the smoothest transition from one field to the next in the industry. But according to Ice Cube, it's these very characteristics that make Johnson one of the most dangerous, one of the elites to make his way to the pinnacle of the free world. Of course, not only is he most people's favorite actor, but even before he became a full-time actor, Johnson was already most people's favorite athlete. Seems like the love was organic, and maybe it even is for some people, but for a large portion of others, liking Johnson as much as they do didn't exactly come in the most natural way. This is why Ice Cube is taking the time to warn the world about the changes that could come if the actor is allowed to make his way to the top. By the people, Cub's warnings have been met with several different reactions from the fans, with some thinking he's reading too deep into it, and others saying they already saw it coming from a mile away. I'm not exactly here to tell you what to believe, but I have a feeling that at the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to stand.
Go ahead.
Huh,
Yeah.
Oh, Rock, thank you so much.
It's good to see you, man.
First, he was a wrestler. Then he became one of the biggest names and even what some would describe as a pioneer in the field. But then he shocked the world when he moved into an even more competitive field and still dominated it. And yes, I'm referring to the film industry, as he's had some of the highest grossing movies with his name at the forefront these days. He seems to be exploring yet another field, as rumors of The Rock possibly running for president have engulfed the news in recent times. Well, the rumors didn't come from nowhere. They started after headlines started to read that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had revealed that multiple political parties had approached him last year to see if he would run for U.S. president, after a poll revealed 46% of Americans would support his campaign. That's right. Recently, Johnson spoke about the requests and suggestions he's gotten over the years to run for president. He actually corrected himself mid-sentence on Joe Rogan to confirm he does not support President Joe Biden in any way. About 3 weeks ago, Johnson helped comedian Trevor Noah kick off his new podcast on Spotify. It is called What Now? With Trevor Noah, and he has a wide variety of guests already appearing. As the first guest on Trevor Noah's podcast, the actor and former WWE wrestler said a 2021 poll of 30,000 American adults led to the parties contacting him to ask if he was interested in running at the end of 2022. That was an interesting poll that happened, and I was really moved by that. Johnson said, "I was really blown away, and I was really honored. I'll share this little bit with you. At the end of the year in 2022, I got a visit from the parties asking me if I was going to run, and if I could run. It was a big deal, and it came out of the blue. It was one after the other, and they brought up that poll. And they also brought up their own deep dive research that would prove that should I ever go down that road, I'd be a real contender. It was all very surreal because that's never been my goal. My goal has never been to be in politics, as a matter of fact. There's a lot about politics that I hate. However, Johnson, who has described himself as a centrist and political independent and publicly endorsed U.S. President Joe Biden's 2020 campaign, has openly shared his interest in running in the past. In 2016, he told GQ, "I can't deny that the thought of being governor, the thought of being president, is alluring." A year later, he told Variety the 20,124 presidential campaign was a realistic consideration. His sitcom Young Rock even hinges around running for U.S. president in 2032, with Johnson playing his future self as he gives interviews about moments in his early life that structure every episode responding to the aforementioned poll. In 2021, Johnson wrote on Instagram, "I don't think our founding fathers ever envisioned a 64 bald, tattooed, half black, half Simone tequila, drinking pickup truck driving, fanny pack wearing guy joining their club. But if it ever happens, it would be my honor to serve you, the people." While the thought of having a president who could actually beat up almost anyone that crosses his path sounds thrilling to a lot of people, Ice Cube has revealed that it might not exactly be the flex people think it is. In fact, the rapper cum actor seems to believe the public image Johnson has out there is nothing but a front to just delude people into putting him in office, as he just might be one of the elites Cube has spent the last year warning us about. You see, in the process of bringing this agenda by the elites to the world's attention only a couple of months ago, he delved into the dark world of the prison industrial complex. Oh, yes. Ice Cube didn't hold back and connected the dots, revealing how the music labels are allegedly feeding people to these profit-driven prisons. It's like an actual scandal of epic proportions, right? But that's not all. In a recent episode of comedian Bill Maher's podcast, the rapper spilled some seriously shady tea about the music industry influence on society. The episode, called Club Random, was a wild ride filled with gossip-worthy topics like fame, parenting, and a scandalous alleged connection between the prison industry and music.
I don't know their names, Bill, but if you follow the money, you go high enough, you start to see, okay, this is an industry.
During the marathon hour-and-a-half conversation, Maher couldn't help but dish about his concerns over the growing woke culture. He totally threw shade at it, comparing it to the catty drama of the movie Mean Girls. According to Maher, these woke warriors are always on the lookout for flaws in others, creating a toxic atmosphere of constant fault-finding. But hold up, because Ice Cube didn't hold back either. He dropped some major bombshells suggesting that all these petty arguments are purposely thrown at us by the powers that be to keep us distracted and divided. According to the rapper, they want us to focus on these insignificant issues instead of tackling the real problems that are tearing our society apart. It's just done to really keep us bickering and chasing these words, so they're not really getting to the root of the issues, which are most of the time very common if we really go down to the root of it. Ice Cube said he then argued that his experiences within the music industry allowed him to witness the puppet strings being pulled behind the scenes. According to him, it's all about power and control. Ice Cube seems to believe it's not about directly forcing artists to write specific lyrics, but about the record companies acting as covert guardrails to ensure certain songs make it to the airwaves while others are brutally suppressed. Ice Cube exposed the record label's tight grip on creative freedom, claiming they exercise significant control over albums. In some cases, he alleged they go as far as micromanaging the creative process.